Call the meeting to order. I've had some help with my two new mayors here. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Face the flag over here. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Kolpak? Here. Pepcorn?
Here.
Strand?
Here.
Turnberg? Here. Mahoney?
Here. Commissioner Strand, do you have a motion?
I do, Mayor. Subsequent to our executive session, I move to approve the City of Fargo opting in to the settlement agreement regarding opioid litigation with Associated Pharmacies, Inc., J.M. Smith Corporation, Louisiana Wholesale Drug Company, Inc., Morris and Dixon Company, North Carolia Wholesale Drug Company, Inc., and United Natural Foods, Inc., and authorize the city attorney's office and mayor to complete any necessary forms and paperwork to complete the settlement process.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak? Aye. Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg? Aye. Mahoney?
Here. So I have two winners for the Mayor of the Day 2026 winners. To my left is Audrey Mirmo. Her teacher is Mr. Bradley Reese. She's in 7th grade. Her parents, Jason and Kelly, are here today. And then on my right is Leela Wagon. Her teacher is Mr. Troy Brewster at Kennedy, and she's in the 3rd grade. Her parents are Kevin and Jarlin. Now, I think I'll have Leila go first with her essay. Are you ready? Okay.
If I were mayor for a day, I would build an amusement park for people to visit. I would make an amusement park because we don't have any here right now. I would also make a place for family and friends. I would raise money to fix buildings, parks, and plant flowers around buildings. I would make our city welcoming so people would feel welcome. I would also get a welcome sign so everyone knows they're welcome. I would host city events like bonfires, art in the park, and picnics. I would fix potholes and plant flowers around buildings. That's what I would do if I were mayor for a day.
You hit the part that bothers all mayors is potholes, so thank you very much for catching that. But your essay was excellent. Okay, are you ready? Aubrey's up.
Fargo is an amazing place. We have a skate park like Lindenwood Park, sledding hills for when it's cold, an air museum, and so much more. Crime rates are very low in Fargo, so it is a pretty safe place to live. The crime rates have decreased as much as 10% throughout November 2025 to early 2026. There are amazing job opportunities, so if you ever need super cool places to live that are affordable and a friendly community. So, if you ever need any help, someone will probably lend a hand. Another amazing thing about Fargo is we are originally part of the Sioux Territory until 1861 when it was claimed as part of the Dakota Territory. Also, housing is 14 to 17% cheaper than in a bigger city. Fargo's approximate price for housing is around $310,000 for the home and $285,000 for sales price. Compared to a bigger city, it usually costs around $1 million and up. Fargo is a safe, affordable, and peaceful place to call home. If I were the mayor of Fargo, I would improve something in our community by either adding a museum or library or both. I would add a history museum because learning about our past history is important so we can learn not to make the same mistakes in the future. I would also add an additional library because it serves the purpose for all students of all ages. And it can be a place where community people can enjoy themselves, get books, and build strong relationships. If I could restrict something, it would be vaping because it is really addictive with all the nicotine in it, and it can give you lung and heart damage. Some of my concerns about our green spaces and water sources is that are becoming polluted and trashed, which is really bad for our environment, the air we breathe, and how we feel about our city. I would also try to have some community events where we go out, dress up, socialize, and just have fun. It would be a way to build community relationships, self-confidence, and it would help people have better social skills. Overall, we have an amazing education system, I can confirm, affordable housing, low crime rates, and if you visit the Fargo Moorhead Visitor Center, you can see the wood chipper from the movie Fargo. So, if I become mayor, I hope you feel that you're in good hands. Fun fact, Fargo was originally named Centralia before being named Fargo in 1872.
I would have to say we want to thank all the educators in the room that have done such a great job in raising these two. So we're just going to step down and get our plaques, if that's okay. Here we go up front. Both of you?
Okay.
All the commissioners down here. This is your plaque. I want you to, you're right here. What if I have a vote? Is there a motion to approve the order of agenda?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the March 16, 2026 regular meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 26?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's roll call vote.
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak? Aye. Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg? Aye. Mahoney?
Aye. Public hearings. Application for Class GH alcoholic beverage license for Moonrise Cafe, doing business as Moonrise Cafes, to be located at 111 Broadway North, continued from the 2/2/26 and the 3/2 regular liquor control meetings, or our meetings, I'm sorry. Angie Bear to explain.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. This is for the Moonrise Cafe at GH. That is a beer and wine license only. They are currently downtown. 50% of their food sales have to exceed their liquor sales. What they're looking for is to host events such as an art night, trivia, cake decorating classes, and they'd like to offer more options to their customers. There was no concerns with the background check, so we're looking for a motion to approve this license.
Does anyone present wishes to speak in regards to this license? Does anyone wish to speak in regards to this license? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Kolpak? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Turnberg? Aye. Mahoney?
Aye. Application to transfer of VWB alcoholic beverage license for the Cellar, 624, doing business venue on Main from 624 Main Avenue, Suite 4, to 624 Main Avenue, Suite 5, and this had been continued from 2 meetings prior to this. Angie Bear to explain.
Yes, so Cellar 624, they're currently in Unit 4 at 624 Main Avenue. And what they're looking for is just going across the hall. It is to Suite 5. They're not changing their license class. Right now, the VWB license is a designated space for wine educational events. So they're looking at a smaller space to allow someone else to go into the larger Suite 4. There was no concerns with the background check, so we're looking for a motion to approve this transfer.
Does anyone present wish to speak to this application? Is there anybody wanting to speak? If not, I close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Kolpeck? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item 29, application transfer of a FARZ alcoholic beverage license for Dakota Food Group doing business as Teddy's from 212 Broadway to 624 Main Avenue, Suite 4, continued from 2232 regular meetings.
The FARZ, this is an on-sale only with a bar. They have a full alcohol license. 50% of their food sales must exceed their liquor sales. This would be, Teddy's is going to go into Suite 4, now that Cellar 624 is going to Suite 5. Again, they are separate units. Teddy's will be open for lunches and different events and dinners. There were no concerns with the updated background checks, and I'm looking for a motion to approve this transfer.
So is Teddy's just seeking a smaller space?
Teddy's will be in a larger space. Cellar 624 will be in a smaller space.
But I mean from before.
Oh,
Teddy's-
before, yeah, they were moving from, I believe the lease was up at the 212 Broadway. So they have had their license extended until March 31st, 2026, until they found a new space, which they did.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak to this license transfer? Anybody wanting to speak? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Can I make the motion, but can I also ask a question, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
So Angie, did you go, we had some questions at the Liquor Control Board about the suites and the division, so, and the floor plan. So could you went and looked at it?
I
And
did.
I guess my question is, are you comfortable with how they are going to have it set up?
Yes, I am. It's the one map that I did include, and then I thought, okay, I'll go there just to make sure that they are completely separate units. So they are. There's a hallway in between the one. Cellar 624 will move over, but separate doors, just completely separate units. You're welcome.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Kolpeck? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item 30, application for a Class W alcoholic beverage license for Sunrose Nails and Day Spa, doing business as Sunrose Nails and Day Spa located at 4101 13th Avenue South. Angie Bear to explain.
Thank you. This is a wine-only license. They are allowed a bar. The owner of this nail salon, she did previously hold a liquor license with her previous nail company that did close, but there were no issues ever with that license. This will be in the Village West Shopping Center, and there's no concerns with the background check, so I'm looking for a motion to approve this license.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in regards to this application? Anyone present wanting to speak? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Kolpeck? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item 31, hearing on dangerous building located at 115 6th Avenue North. Sean Rodnick to explain.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight, we're going to present to you 115 6th Avenue North. So this is currently a 1,076 square foot, story-and-a-half wood frame structure built in 1900. Kevin and Lisa Marie Larson are the owners of it, and the taxes are currently paid. List of damages includes water service was shut off on 12/17/25, multiple broken or boarded up windows. Entry doors have extensive damage due to warrant forced entry. Unpermitted electrical in the basement and other places in the house, large amounts of indoor junk and outdoor junk. We had junk vehicles on the property. Smoke and carbon monoxide alarms were missing. Visible cracks horizontal in the foundation. Areas of water damage in the basement, and water and power are I don't know what that last one is. I must have messed up on that. I apologize for that. But it does appear to meet 8 of the 10 criteria for a dangerous building. Timeline of events, we were alerted to this one by neighbors in October of 25. We did some investigation and tried to find owners and occupants that we could speak to about it, see if we could get in for inspections and stuff. During that, on 11/25, we received another round of complaints about it, and we learned that the owner of the property, Kevin Larson, had passed away, and that the people that were living in the property and that we'd had some contact with were not the owners. We again received complaints in December of 25, or December of 26, I apologize, or no, December of 25, and about squatter activity and people being in the building that weren't supposed to be in the building at that point. We posted it in January, mid-January of 26 as a dangerous building. We had at that time actually been able to talk to the deceased owner's wife. They were estranged, so they are not together, but she does, because they are still married, she did have interest in the property, so she was able to give us permission to do interior inspections and look at different things and stuff like that. So we were using that as our authority to be able to go in and take a look at the building. We had the property cleared on 1/21 of 26, and we secured it with a contractor. On 1/22, it had been tampered with, and we had to resecure it. On 1/23, 1/26, we did another round of interior inspections just because we wanted to make sure we had as many current photos as possible, especially after somebody had entered the building and done some more damage. We resecured the property again on 2/11 after somebody had tampered with it. On 3/4, they entered the property again, and we had to have it re-cleared and resecured by a contractor. On 3/16, we requested the public hearing at City Commission. On 3/19, the notice of dangerous building hearing and order to show cause was sent out to the owner and the mortgage holder, and we're having the meeting tonight at the City Commission. So like I said, some additional information is the owners were going through a divorce, and the husband was the owner of this property and passed away, so it did pass on to his wife. Veterans United Home Loans holds a mortgage on the property, and we've had multiple securings of the property, multiple reports of squatters at the property, and there's been a lot of activity there, to the point where last time we secured it, we had to basically epoxy the screws on and make it so you could not take them out because people were trying to get into this structure. Here's how the structure sits when we were doing our inspections and looking at things, and after that boarding up that's on there, I do believe is not our doing. That is how the structure was when we came to it. You can just see there's a lot of junk accumulation, just maintenance issues with a lot of different things. And this is how we found the property when we first went on. You can note the red door there that was destroyed for something, just a lot of damage all over the property. The chimney's crumbling. Again, we have cars that aren't supposed to be there. They're just junk vehicles that were abandoned on the property. Again, more just accumulation, broken locks, all kinds of things that we saw in this one. You do notice that there is some water damage in the picture on the left there towards the bottom, and that was consistent with a lot of the rest of the things we were seeing inside the house. A lot of just shoddy electrical work that was done by somebody who's not licensed. Here you can see that I guess it's difficult to see, but the foundation is starting to buckle by the stairs there. It's bowing in. And just the general, how it is we found the house. They decided that they were going to do some electrical work after we went in the first time and secured it and tore the panel off and did something else. We're not sure what they did, but here you can see the foundation cracks and the deterioration of that foundation. This is after we secured it the first time and had to come back the second time to resecure. And then the recommended motion is on your screen, and I'll stand for any questions.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak? Is there anybody represented that will speak today?
I haven't been contacted by anybody.
Anybody want to speak to this dangerous building? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Kolpak? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Thank you, Sean. Number 32, application filed B2 LLC, sign badgers for property tax exemption for project to be located at 610 University Drive North, which application will use as a commercial sign design and fabrication shop. It was continued from the 3/16 regular meeting. Jim Gilmore to explain.
This is a request from a company, Sign Badgers. They're currently in lease space in West Fargo. They're looking at acquiring the old Fargo Brewing building to move their operation there, make improvements to the building, and then also in the long term, add a couple employees initially. In the long term, they have hopes of adding additional employees. It is a primary sector business. The type of signs they make are one you might find around this building, restrooms, room numbers, as well as a whole wide variety of signs. Not the big signs you'll see on buildings, not many of those, but primarily smaller signs. And as a primary sector business, they're selling these all over the country. They're not just making them here in Fargo. So it's one of these important primary sector businesses for our metro area. Dawson Scheffler will get up here in a minute and talk about their plans for the future. Again, I had sent out the score. This application scored very well with our criteria, and it comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Economic Development Incentive Committee. So in addition to the jobs in the primary sector, it's making use of a building that's been vacant for some time since Fargo Brewing closed. It's kind of a bit of a challenging location when you're along railroad tracks and you have all the trains going by. So it's nice to find a use for that. I know Commissioner Strand, you've always asked about safety for the workers, and this particular company gets a discount because they have an excellent record with the workers' comp and have additional points for that. So Dawson, I'll have you come up and just tell us a little bit about your business and your plans for the future. This is a 5-year property tax exemption, so very limited.
Thank you, Jim, and Mayor and Commissioners. Grateful for the opportunity to be here to present tonight. I'm a farm kid from Langdon, North Dakota originally, but I've spent my adult life and career here in Fargo as an entrepreneur in the advertising communication space. Sign Badgers was an acquisition a year ago, roughly, and currently, as Jim stated, the business operates over in West Fargo. It's a great track record of providing great product to a number of staple brands that originated here in Fargo but have spread across the country. We're very proud of that work. Today, committing to 3 jobs and the growth here over the next handful of years, but we do have an active pipeline for mergers and acquisitions as well, so there's an opportunity for some more exponential growth with the business. As he stated, we make signs and graphics, much like the nameplates sitting in front of you, but the wide spectrum from fleet graphics, all the way on up to anything that you might need to we always say that the sign should be worthy of the name that it carries, and my great uncle George Schefter was hand painting signs in the 1920s, and I think that he found that value to be really important for any small business. It often is the first banner that they put up that sort of states their name and allows them to propel themselves and be successful in the future. But it also might mean walking into the city commission chambers for the first time to present, not knowing exactly where you should go, but a great sign can point you the way and help you feel a little bit better about that process. So. We do take great value in the meaning of the work that we do, and it's a really successful business with a great team looking to expand over in Fargo here as we get into some owner-occupied space. So happy to address any questions about the business or about our plans for growth.
Any questions by commissioners? Mr. Kolpak?
Yeah, can you share what current employment is and then where you hope to go ultimately, please?
Yeah, I think we're at 14 team members now. We'd like to get to 17, and like I said, there's that active M&A pipeline to grow.
Thank you.
Any other question? Commissioner Turnberg?
Are you able to move forward with this project without the tax incentive?
It would be very difficult.
Mr. Strand?
Thank you. I'm trying to figure this out. Is it 1 new employee ultimately in 5 years or 3?
Jim, I think it's 1 in the first year that we have to commit to, and then
It's 1 in the first year and another within 3 years. I asked Dawson to be very conservative on that because we will monitor. I think he's hoping to be much more than that, but I think it's better to be, conservative and overachieve rather than run into trouble and not meet your goals with your agreement.
So the one I see is listed at over $35 an hour. What are the other wage levels for the other new positions?
Dawson, can you-
Yeah, I'd have to see the application again to recall, but, we certainly want to pay an aggressive living wage, and we have to attract and retain the talent that we need to make the level of product that we need to. So, I know the application scored well, and our team members are compensated very well.
My last question is, what is the annual tax break requested here?
pardon me?
What is the annual tax break requested here?
It'd be $34,000 a year each year for 5 years.
So if it's $34,000 a year and you're creating one position over $35 an hour?
In the first year, as a conservative estimate.
I mean, their current payroll is around 600,000 for 11 people, so.
Any other questions? Anyone present wish to speak to this property tax exemption? Anyone want to speak to it? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Kolpak?
Aye.
Strand?
No.
Turnberg?
No.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item 33, recommendation to adopt the new pilot policy for commercial redevelopment. Jim Gomar to explain.
This again comes with the recommendation from the Economic Development Incentives Committee. We've had, a couple inquiries, and this is, not about one particular project, but really, is there a way where the city could do something in implementing our growth plans to encourage redevelopment of older commercial sites? They're maybe 40 years old, they become economically obsolete. And so, really trying to bring in higher value and higher density buildings to some of these older areas. We also see that there could be some opportunities for economic development as well as mixed use and shared parking, so you don't have just a lot of unused parking. We still want it to be consistent with city plans, with desirable land uses, and try to, strive for improved design and some public amenities. This would limit any property tax exemption 10 years. It could be up to 100%. And in addition, there would be a but-for test. We don't have any applications right now, so we don't know whether or not, with this, any potential applications would meet that. But that's an important step in the process. It really helps us determine the question Commissioner Turnberg was just asking. Are they likely to do it anyway? And we'd have our financial advisor look at that and help us make that determination. They're experts on that. So be happy to answer any questions. Again, this would be limited to 10 years. It would be a little different than our other pilot incentives. We have one focus on the downtown, one focus on core neighborhoods, one on jobs, and one on low-income housing. This would kind of fill that difference when you have a project come in and it doesn't fall into any one of those categories, yet it seems like something the city would be good in encouraging some infill development and redevelopment. So be happy to answer any questions.
Jim, in the Fargo Forum, they mentioned the Roars project, but we're going to approve it tonight. We're not approving any Roars
No,
project.
we
are
don't have any application. We know they're interested, and they had spoken to the Economic Development Incentives Committee in the past and expressed an interest in applying for that. But so I think, they had looked back at those old stories, and, Roars is one of the people that have, talked to me about how, would we qualify for some type of incentive, because we've got this older commercial site and we'd like to redevelopment. You think as you drive along Main Avenue, there's a lot of older commercial buildings there that are underutilized, some of them vacant, and so this would be a way to incent those. We even see that on 13th Avenue South now, or South University.
Commissioner Pepcorn, has something went through your committee?
So, Mr. Chair, I would like to suggest that we continue this, just because there's lots of moving parts now with our tax incentives, not just this, but the whole thing. And so I think with the land development code being done, we should, you want it to be complementary with that, but I just think there's so many things that are going on now that we need to clarify that, and obviously this was in November. Well, lots of things have changed, as you know. And so I just think it would be better for us to continue this and revisit this, because there's a whole lot of moving parts beyond just this going on at this time. That's just my...
Your recommendation would be to table?
Yeah, to continue it, if that's okay. But that's just my suggestion and whatever the rest of the group believes, but
Ian,
thank
can you give
Mr.
me the
Chair.
difference between a table and a continue?
You're not tabling a motion, you'd just be tabling the discussion to a later date.
So if you continue, it's not clear when it'll come back, it'll just is continue to a later date, undefined, right?
Unless you define that date.
Yeah, okay, that's all I want to know. Commissioner Kolpak?
Yeah, just a couple things, because I think the story did conflate and confuse a number of people, including me this morning, until I dug into this. But what we're talking about here is a pilot policy, and this is not a TIF request, which is different. A pilot is delay in tax payments. But in the end, what we're really trying to address here is this subgroup of vacant buildings around Fargo and really across the country right now because of what happened during COVID, and how we can have redevelopment in times of inflation, in uncertain times with tariffs, for instance, and just uncertainty in general about how we can reimagine being innovative in redevelopment in order to increase the tax base for the taxpayer by increasing the value instead of letting buildings sit empty and devalue over time and maybe eventually not have any value at all to the tax base. And I think it's an important point with the 3% cap to really think through how are we going to get to new innovation and property tax increase with the cap. And so I certainly support the concept. I will say to Commissioner Pepcorn's request, my first question was, how are the county and the school thinking through incentives right now? And that's been part of this equation as well. And so I don't know if we continue indefinitely, if we could have some urgency, because at the last commission meeting, we had the same conversation about incentives. And how are we gonna have the conversation with city and county about really understanding where they are, including West Fargo, by the way, because the ROARS project would have implications at the West Fargo Public Schools. So I would support a continuation, but with maybe some urgency. So those are my comments.
Mr. Pepcorn, could I have that motion?
So I just want to make sure we do it correctly, though. So for Ian, do you want to have a specific date? Is that what you're saying? Or I guess, so to me, and Commissioner Strand, you are a little more, the Robert's Rules of Orders, we want to make sure we do it correctly, but I do think the tax incentives, even though there's TIFs, there's pilots, there's all these, and they, as you know, these are all together, need to be reassessed at this time. And so tell me, Ian, what do you recommend?
I think it'd be easy if you just took no action tonight, and then any one of you five can put this on for any future agenda when you feel appropriate. Or you can continue it to a certain date. I think those are the two options.
So I guess my question is to the group is, what are you, 3 months or go ahead, Mr. Chair.
I think you just put it to continue, we can bring it back, but I think what Mr. Kolpak's saying is we have to have some discussions with some other people. I also have heard the chambers ask for a question where the school board and the commission get together and have a discussion about TIFs and pilots, and I think that the commission would like to weigh in on that a little bit. So if we just do a continuance, we could bring it back, but I think we also would ask administration to look into, let's have some discussions about it, so it's not quiet. It says, let's work on it. Commissioner Kolpak?
Yeah, and just to clarify, my understanding is both the school and the county now have come back with their draft policies on incentives, but I have not fully understood what those are enough to know the implications yet. So I certainly need more time.
I think that's a good point to find out what West Fargo, I don't think has a policy, but we could, check in with them and see what their intent is.
Jim, could you share with the commissioners the new policies by the school board and the new policies by the county, please?
I'll get hold of the school one and.
Yeah, just send them out to the
Yeah,
commissioners so
I'll
we
do
have
that.
that, because I think Commissioner Kolpak might have mentioned she didn't even have that. So Dave, I take your motion is to continue it with that date
Mayor,
uncertain.
Before there's a motion,
Commissioner Strand.
the reason I'm saying this, I'm interrupting, is some motions don't allow debate. Like if you table something, you're not debating it. So that's why I want to say a few words before your motion, and I'm on board with you, Commissioner Pepcorn, for some sort of a delay until after the election, until we know who the elected officers are, until we've all convened, which we've said we're going to do for a few years now, since before Commissioner Turnberg arrived. We still haven't had our brown bag as a group to talk about policies and incentives. And I'm waiting for that. And I'm not going to vote for anything new or changes until we get to that point where we can sit at the table and talk about it. Last thing I'll say is, it's absolutely needed. With the commercial lay of the land the changes in the commercial lay of the land out there, with empty properties out there, and cities across the country are converting properties to housing. So I'm all for that, but this isn't the moment to do it. And I also don't want this to die right here. So I'm on board with you at this point, Commissioner Pepcorn.
So, Mr. Chair, just real quick, to me, I agree with what you said, Commissioner Strand, but also the land development code is going to be completed, so it has to be complementary with that as well. So there's a lot of things that have to be combined and considered to go into this all at once. So I would rather not set a date, because just to say we will continue this, but this, I can assure you, Commissioner Strand, this will not be pushed, because this is critical to the future of our area. And so, does that make sense? So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to continue.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any other further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Colpack?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. 34, review of the 2026 pushcart program and survey results. Nicole Crutchfield to give us her glowing report.
I don't know if it's glowing, but good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. But for a few years, you've heard staff talk about the pushcart program, or the food pushcart program, basically vending on public sidewalks is what we're talking about in downtown only. Chapter 18 has the provision to allow for selling of food in carts once you get a permit from the health department in certain locations. And we've, over the last few years, received numerous complaints and concerns that, honestly, from a staff perspective, we agree with. We've had difficulty administrating this program over the years for a number of reasons. And so up until January, we were starting to propose to you some options on either tabling the program or delaying or revising the program to some degree. We did a public survey in February and received astounding support for the food cart vending program. And that survey results are in your packet, but just to highlight from the public too, basically, get my notes here. Very little negative support on the program. So, like for in this instance, only 6% had a negative reaction to the food cart program, and in this chart here, only 6% didn't see a benefit, whereas everybody else saw a benefit to the program. And so, with that said, the public feedback, we are proposing, instead of eliminating the program, instead piggyback from our open house that we had last in January this past year, of looking at some revisions to the program that would include more enforcement, better rules for separation from business owners and the brick and mortar businesses, and stronger enforcement tools. For instance, right now in our current ordinance, we don't have a revocation of permit. So if someone misbehaves or someone has a penalty, we can't revoke that permit without a very extensive public process. And so looking at those revisions with our city attorney is what I'm asking to do for tonight with you. And we would come back to you in the fall with some revisions to the program recommended to you with implementation in 2027. So that was a long process, but be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Nicole, there have been some complaints about some people not behaving the rules or working with the rules. How are you going to address that? That's part of what we heard in your workshop.
Yes, it's been really difficult. We just recently, through working with the prosecution and through the police department, had our first ticket, one of our first tickets endorsed, if you will, by the judge, where a fine was given. We also had some confusion, if you will, of illegal operators. So not only there's rules being broken, but then there's people setting up permits or setting up operations without even having a permit. And so you can imagine 2 a.m., it can get kind of confusing on who has a permit, who doesn't have a permit. There's been a couple instances where people don't have the permit altogether. We were able to get a favorable action out of the judge from in terms of fining for that. And so we think with better communication with our prosecutor's office and the district judge, our district judge, we can enforce that better.
Thank you. Any questions of Nicole? I have one speaker on this, Warren Ackley.
My name is Warren Ackley. Been a downtown business person for 49 years now. So I've seen a lot of changes in Fargo, and I am here tonight just to talk a little bit about the food carts and what's going on with downtown. First of all, I don't think we have a shortage of dining options in downtown Fargo right now, but I'm not here to, say, do away with the food carts at all. I'm here because what I'm seeing and observing in downtown, having been there for almost 49 years, I just want to see us do this responsibly and safely. And so when you talk about responsible, the price of the food carts, it's even according to the planning department here tonight, if you read the report, it costs the planning department between $12,000 and $15,000 for this program. Now, is that responsible use of taxpayer money? I'm not sure. Should they look at the price of these permits being increased? Possibly, but that fiscal responsibility needs to be looked at. As far as the safety and enforcement, that's another key to having this program work. The hours of operation of the program, the placement of these food carts, and the permits, all that needs to be looked at. And then the cleaning of the facility, that's been a problem. The one thing the food carts don't bring with them is garbage cans. The grease on the sidewalks, we have to pay for that through the bid program. So we as the brick and mortar people are paying for that. And so I just want to keep people more responsible and keep it a fair situation for everyone. We pay property taxes. The food carts don't pay property taxes. We pay special assessments. They do not. But I really would like to look at, not just to postpone, to prolong the situation, but we need to have this program be more cost-effective than it is for the taxpayers. And that's what I'm concerned about. I love Fargo, and I still want it to be the land of opportunity. That was on the police cars in 1960. It still should be out there. So Fargo should be the land of opportunity. I want it for everybody, but I want it to be fair and balanced as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Recommendation is to receive and file the 2026 push cart program review and survey results. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak?
Aye.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Recommendation for appointment interim police chief, Travis Stefanowicz. And I can see we've got quite a gallery of policemen over here as well that well-suited have been part of our department and are still part of our department. But it seems like they have kind of a show of support for you, Travis, so that's pretty impressive. Mike, I'll let you go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Good evening. Thank you for the time tonight to talk about the interim appointment. 2 weeks ago, on March 16th, I was before the commission just to present on our search process moving forward after Chief Zabolski's departure. But very pleased tonight to recommend that Travis Stefanowicz, our current Assistant Chief of Police, be appointed as the interim police chief. And really just want to support everything that he's done for our department. Really, over the last 25 years, he's held a variety of roles here. He is really committed to Fargo. He's very much committed to the Fargo Police Department. And I really believe he's really the right leader at the right time to help us lead the department and move the Fargo Police Department forward. So this recommended motion is to appoint him back to Saturday, March 28, and that will become effective. We do an out-of-grade pay adjustment as well, but most certainly want to thank him for him stepping forward, being willing to be considered for this opportunity. We're very grateful that he is willing to help us out and will take us through our search process. And so I'm happy to answer any questions, but just really asking for the City Commission's unanimous support of this interim appointment, and we'll get going, and the search process will be discussed in the next item, item number 36. So thank you.
Travis, there was a question of what happens, you were Assistant Chief when the Chief was here. What happens when you're out of town? Who takes over that duty? Could you explain that? One of my commissioners had that concern.
Absolutely. So we have an extremely qualified team. So if I were to leave town for the weekend or something came up, any of our executive team would be allocated to take over for that. So it's actually part of our policy that we identify specifically who's in charge in my absence. So depending on who's available for that weekend or whatever the situation may be, we just clearly identify who that person is, and then everybody in the department would know that, and then I would also share that with you, you all as the commission as well.
Would it be better to have one person assigned to that, or do you feel it's better to do it the way you're doing it?
The current situation probably works the best, just in case somebody has a family engagement that they happen to also be out of town, so that we can identify somebody else. So we've got a fully capable team over there that is more than willing to help out wherever we need.
Thank you. Any questions of Travis? I think you've done an excellent job, Assistant Chief, and I think you can stand up as Interim Chief and do an excellent job as well. So looking forward to that. And if there's no other questions, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Volpak?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we go into the Police Chief search process update. Michael's changed some dates and ideas on that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Again, I was here 2 weeks ago before the Commission on March 16th. Just talked about a proposed timeline for the search process. Really appreciate your feedback that was provided at heard pretty clearly was that we should try and make sure that as much of this process as possible is deferred after the election. And so what I did was with the HR department, just want to appreciate their help, we created a proposed schedule of events that does just that. I've included that material in your packet this evening. But basically what will happen is now we'll slow down just a little bit. After the interim appointment tonight, we will get through the job description, make that available certainly to the commission as well. And then what we'll do is get the job posted in the middle of May, and then have that close after the election on June 19. So the future City Commission will absolutely have a role in a part of that search process. We will have open houses. We will do a variety of things that we'll talk about at a later date, but I just wanted to just highlight that the current process will just be slightly delayed based on that feedback that you provided 2 weeks ago. So I also, at that time, you'll recall, we were also summarizing the search processes of 2020 for police chief, as well as the fire chief in 2025. So we'll take the best elements of all of those processes and put together. So again, we'll be moving forward with posting the job on May 11, and then we will close on June 19. A couple other key dates. We will also have a department survey that will be distributed to our department. All throughout the department, our civilian as well as sworn staff will distribute that. We'll also compile that information in that same period of time, and then really start the major activities, as I said earlier, in mid-July. I'm looking at July 13 as being one of the very first dates. I also included in the agenda materials tonight that are potential dates, depending on where we go. This is an appointed officer that is appointed by the City Commission, depending on the kind of desire of the Commission at that time. This could be an appointment that is accomplished as early as late August, and perhaps if we did go to the outside, that would be an appointment process that would likely, on full background, the conditional offer phase, likely wrapping sometime in October. So got a good schedule of events put together, but most importantly, just want to provide you that briefing this evening. Again, no action requested of the Commission. We'll be sure to keep you apprised of developments, and we'll come back and visit with the Commission after the election in July as to next steps. Thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Turnberg?
Michael, can you clarify how the selection committee will be determined?
Yeah, absolutely. So not talking about the committee tonight, but yes, thank you for the question. That will be something that's discussed over the next couple of months. We did take a look at what we did both for the fire chief in 25 as well as the police chief in 20. I talked a bit about that 2 weeks ago, but we'll come back with a recommendation on that. But then we also will make sure that we are talking to the public about community events and a community opportunity to meet and greet with the candidates as well. So more to follow on that in the future, but most importantly, we want to get a really quality job description put together and out on the street here in the middle of May. So you'll see us work on that, and we look forward to that next step as well. So more to follow on selection.
Mr. Strand?
Thank you. Michael, remind me when when new electeds take office.
That will be in July. July 1, I believe, is
So
the
it's
date.
not
Correct.
it's not the second meeting in June?
No, that is now July 1, following changes that we've made here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Commissioner Kolpat?
Just a comment. I appreciate the update to last week's report. Thank you. I just want to reiterate how important it is for community policing to have community engagement and transparency. And so the more we can talk about this and bring them along and be part of it sincerely, the more important it's going to be to the final selection and the success. So appreciate it.
Mr. Strand?
And could we make sure there's no riots or anything in the meantime? It was tough the last while. We were going through some really challenging times, and let's cross our fingers that the world's quiet and calm for the next few months.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I would just note, too, full confidence and full belief that our interim leadership is going to do a great, great job in this interim period. When you go back and you look, you're correct. When you look at the photos, you look at the imagery of 2020, it was a pretty challenging time, certainly for us to conduct that search as well. So we're looking forward to getting this underway, but just really, really appreciative of our command staff, the AC. Our staff is just top notch. They're great, great people, and they're going to do a great job in this interim. And so they have our full confidence and support as we move forward with the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 37, Financial Operations Overview of Resource and Recovery Center. Dave Pipcorn has a question. Brenda Daring to explain.
I'm coming. Sorry, I didn't get up quick enough.
It's moving along.
Yeah, much quicker than I thought. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I'm here to give you an update on the Engagement Center, or our Resource and Recovery Center operations. As you can see from this slide, the Engagement Center budget has been streamlined to find efficiencies over the last 3 years. Moving forward, is anticipated there would be additional efficiencies with the one-floor design that will produce further cost savings. I would be remiss, though, if I didn't note that it doesn't come without consequences. So we are starting to see an uptick in issues at the library on Saturdays with the Engagement Center closed. So due to this, we have added some additional security at the library. But you can see here since 2024, we have been making reductions and streamlining that work. And this is just the funding at the Engagement Center only. So here you'll see the sequence for the lease and the fit-up. The City of Fargo is leased with the owner. As part of the lease, the owner contracted for the fit-up. Donations go directly to FM Area Foundation, and then FM Area Foundation reimburses the work with the appropriate documentation. So funds placed in the foundation to date, as of today, is $548,000. We have additional commitments that we have gotten emails on that are coming. And then the mayor is continuing to have conversations with community members. The expenses to date are $60,000. The fit-up cost is $1.6 million with over $100,000 of in-kind work to date, and we are having discussions for additional opportunities. And the annual lease is $240,185 and $50. Here you'll see some of the work that's been accomplished on the site. We are happy to report a number of the nonprofits, over 35, are partnering with us on this work, so it really does exemplify a community project.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, that's awesome, Brenda. That's what I asked for the last commission meeting, and so I was just wanting to see the numbers, so thank you very much for that report. I appreciate it.
And I'm happy to come back whenever you'd like me to come back.
Liaison Commissioner update. Mr. Pipcorn. Mr. Turnberg.
I will have library operations on my Facebook commission page.
So a lot of people have received property tax valuations, and a lot of people will note that they may have gone up 5 to 10%. I want people to remember that we have a 3% cap on existing property, so it is going to convolute your tax statement. So you may have received an estimated tax, but that may change as you get into the new year, as we see that reconstituted. So as I best understand in discussing this with the team is that more to come, but what we are seeing, Jim Gilmore and I talked about this, is we don't have a lot of new construction and all the new houses going up, so what's happening is the old stock is going up. So if you're in the position to sell your house, it's a great deal because your house value is going to go up and the taxes are going to go down. But if you're a homeowner, it's not necessarily good, but if they do the 3% cap, that should at least alleviate some of the growth we got. Commissioner Kolpak.
Yeah, just one update. I had the opportunity to attend the Water Topics Interim Overview Committee last Thursday in Bismarck, chaired by Representative Swantek. Also last year, chaired by Senator Sorvag, both from Fargo, and had an opportunity to introduce Dwayne Ducray of Garrison Diversion, where he gave a report on the Red River water supply and some of the recent funding that has been secured by Senator Hoeven of $150 million, which in the end, the greatest value is the offset to local portion and commitment, both local and state, because of the federal funding. So it was a very good day. It was a full day. It was a meaty agenda, and it was a very good conversation.
Thank you. Commissioner Strand.
Thank you. This is, as long as we're talking the engagement center and the potential move to or the eventual move to the new location, last week I had former Deputy Sheriff Glenn Ellingsberger, I hope I've got his last name right, Deputy Sheriff of Cass County, and I went over to the engagement center and looked at the memorial wall, the marble wall, and just so you all know, I'm hoping we can get that saved, and when the building transitions ownership, we can maybe move it to Madanzaville into their building that's designed for law enforcement memorial.
The memorial wall in the police station you're talking about.
Yes,
Yep.
in the old police station. So let's cross our fingers that that marble wall is removable and movable, and maybe the community can help us get it over there to carry that honor to law enforcement over to that historic site.
Thank you, John. This is a historic night because it's time for public hearing, and I have to tell you, I have no speakers, so we're adjourned.